All right. So good morning, everyone. Hi, and welcome to the 4th Open Learning Basic Workshop. My name is Atika, and I will be the trainer for today's session. Also, we have a special guest from you, all the way from UMP, Dr. Aisha over here, who will join us today. We'll get to know more of her during the session later on. So get to know her face today, right now, because she'll be part of the sessions today. Okay, so apart from Dr. Aisha, off screen, I also have my team to help me navigate the workshop. So feel free to ask any questions during the workshop. You can ask in the chat box. So if it's not me answering your questions, it might be my team. So again, thank you for joining me and Dr. Aisha today on another lovely Wednesday morning. So I appreciate everyone for taking the time off of your schedule to join this workshop. But before we start, I just would like to mention that this session is recorded for future use and will be made available in the course for you to watch anytime. And also, because this is a Zoom meeting, and not a webinar, I would hope everyone to keep their mics and cameras off, just to avoid from a bit of interruptions during the session. But later on, after the session, you can open and talk to us about it. Okay. So as you might know, this workshop is part of a workshop series, which are coming up in the, which are also from previous and also one coming up. For this workshop, you will be designing and setting up assessment while also be introduced about the concept of outcome-based assessment. This will be talked further by Dr. Aisha. Okay. This workshop is also part of the Open Learning Certified Ambassador Program, which let me just share. So there are 5 workshops in this program and 3 badges for you to collect. So most of you, some of you actually have joined 3 of the workshops and have gotten your badges. So for those who have joined all 3, have submitted, but haven't gotten your badges, you can actually check for my feedback to see if there's anything that you can improve on. But for those who have gotten their badges, congratulations, you are an open learning course designers. Those are for 3 workshops that we have before. Today is the 4th workshop, which is on designing assessment. For today's workshop, you will be getting assessment designer badge once you have submitted the activities. And then finally, on the 5th workshop with this, which is on facilitation, you will be certified with a course facilitator badge. And with all 3 badges, you will receive an Open Learning Ambassador certificate. It doesn't look like this, but this is just a picture for you to see. But you will receive a certificate once you have collected all 3 badges. Okay. So this program was created because there's a lot of you that are course creators and have course creators on open learning, and also not just open learning, that teaches everybody to create on how to create online courses. And we want to appreciate you guys, especially the learning designers and educators. You guys have taken the time to teach others in your community, and we value your passion and determination to teach others on how to create courses. So So we want to acknowledge this. This is why we open up this course, this workshop for free and get you certified for free, because we want to create a larger community of online course creators, and not just for OpenLearning, but for any other platforms as well. We want you to share your experiences, not just experience creating courses on OpenLearning, but also on other platforms, so we can get to multiply our knowledge, right? So we would like to acknowledge the learning designers of the online community, hence this program was created. And so by being an ambassador, this lets you to be part of a network community with other course designers such as yourself. And by being an ambassador, this means that our first point of reference for future trainings, webinars, workshops will be the ambassadors. So we will, because we would always love to have you collaborate with us. Okay, so if you want to find out more about this program, the Certified Ambassador, OpenLearning Ambassador Program, you can head on to this page. You can also go to this page to join the previous workshops that we have conducted. Okay. Okay, I will share I think my colleagues will share this link in the chat. So if you want to look into this program further and have any questions, you can just go into this page, right? Okay, so most of you who registered are already part of the workshop course, right? So to get started, everybody please go into this workshop course. For those who haven't gone into the workshop course, here, let me just share you the link. Oops. Okay, so this workshop is a blended workshop. Therefore, you need to join and participate in the activities in order to complete this workshop. You will also have to have an active or trial OpenLearning account, as you will be using your own course during this workshop. But if you plan to just watch and learn, you can do so as well. So for those who haven't joined, you can just click on the link that I have put in the chat box, and just click on the join now button. Okay, I'm going to give you like a minute to join, so feel free to, if you have any problems, just let us know in the chat box. All right, I think mostly everybody is in the course right now. Let me just see. Okay, so for those who are in the course, welcome to OpenLearning Basics 4, Designing and Setting Up Your Outcome-Based Assessment. So in this workshop, we will learn about setting up assessment reports on OpenLearning to authentically assess your learners. So before we start with our usual ice-breaking homepage activity we have right here, So I'm just gonna brief you on the sessions that we have today. So the session that we have today is on assessment. Why we created a workshop for this is not just to help you on how to set up the assessment on OpenLearning, but this is to help you assess assessment authentically. So be it online or offline, assessment needs to be holistic and authentic. But especially in an online learning environment, this is important because when the students are completing the task remotely, educators and assessors will question the authenticity of the students. So some of you might be questioning, what are the students doing their work authentically? Is this their own work, or is this somebody else doing their work? So how do you know this is what we're going to talk about during the session as well. So we've heard a lot about our education system is very exam oriented and that they should be improved. But thankfully now schools have embraced project-based approach, measuring non-academic activities as part of the students' performance. So in short, we are moving towards a less exam-focused environment, and hopefully more focus on the learning part. So in this session, we will be introducing a holistic approach to assessment, which allows the students to be authentically evaluated. And besides that, we will also discuss ways to turn the experience of being assessed into a positive one. Okay, so keep that in mind during the session. That we want you to move away from the usual quizzes, MCQs, or anything. We want you to be more into project-based, open-ended assessment instead. Okay, all right. So with that being said, let's go into the first activity, which is assessment in your course. So we have this activity called assessment in your course. In your homepage, you can go into the homepage and just scroll down a bit and see this activity. So for this, what are assessments that you currently have in your course? Before we can transform face-to-face assessment to online assessment, let's think of what are your learning outcomes and what are the assessments that you already have in place to measure if the students have achieved the learning outcomes. For example, case studies write-up, project paper analysis, poster development, anything. So example that we have here is from UTS course, an introduction to computer game design. One of the course outcome was by the end of the course, students will be able to critique games in terms of their function as dynamic system of formal and dramatic elements in order to create interactive experiences. So one of the assessment is for students to critique a game. So what I want you to do is I want you to share your learning outcome and the assessment that you have set up for that learning outcome. Okay, so I want you to share this in the space here. I am going to give you like five minutes for you to do this. Okay, is that okay? Okay, if it's okay, let's try to do this activity. This is supposed to be the intro activity, so don't stress yourself over it. Okay. Okay, 5 minutes. Haven't seen anyone posting their answers yet. Let me just check. Yes. We have Caroline. Okay, one submission. Okay, let's look at Caroline's first. Okay, so by the end of the course, you will be able to understand the difference between computer-based assessment and assisted assessment. The assessment is a test using fill in the blanks. Okay. This is still a close-ended, but I wonder if there's more assessment that you will be using instead of this to be able to make sure that the students understand the difference between computer-based assessment and assisted assessment. Okay, we have Eugene here. Course learning outcome. Learn basic function and interface of Corel Video Studio. Discover the applications of video editing skills in your workplace. Learn efficient and effective methods to navigate video editing programs and master additional skills as including subtitles, creating smooth transitions, adding effects, and other functions to create compelling videos. Assessment is create a 5-minute video collage using the tool. I can see how this assessment is using all the learning outcomes. Good. It's basically if the learners are able to create the video, 5-minute video, means that they have achieved all the 5 outcomes, right? Okay, can think of only one now to evaluate the enjoyment level of the game. Okay, but what is your what is the learning outcome for this? I mean, like, I think this is the learning outcome. So what is the assessment that you plan to have for this outcome? This is please share your own course, okay? Think of your own course. You'll be using that one course throughout this this session. Especially if you have a course that you already built, try to use that one also. Okay, Lini says the course is digital integrated circuits. Course outcome, examine the effects of interconnects and timing issues in digital circuits. So the assessment is students will be given a paper related to digital integrated circuits. Students will need to review and analyze on the paper, present their findings in terms of presentation in class and report writing. Okay, examine the effects. Okay, that's good. Okay, I hope everyone is trying to think of their own outcome right now. I mean, outcome and assessment that you plan to have. Okay, there's more people. But feel free to share while I do this, okay? Okay, so one of the course outcome is the learners will be able to interpret basic electrocardiogram. I plan to do measurable assessment to help learners to achieve the course outcome. For example, one of the assessment is to collect 5 ECG per abnormal rhythm and interpret it. Okay, okay. This is related to the outcome. Oh wow, this is something that I've never knew I'd be seeing. Okay. Okay, this is good. Okay. Let's see, Diana. Practice infection control measures in order to prevent healthcare associated infection. Assessment, record and upload a video of hand washing correctly. Okay. But I think you can still expand this. Recording is and uploading a video is still slightly a bit closed, but I think you can expand this into like explanation on why the steps are needed or anything. Okay, and we have Ariza, but it and is classify the components of the security and safety system, appraise the safety and security system in the building. Okay, assessment is quiz and discussion. Several factors could influence the level of security, building security. With examples, discuss these factors accordingly. Okay. Wonder. Okay, so I'm guessing the classify is the components is the quiz here, and the discussion is the appraise here. Okay, I think I can see it work because you make it discussion and everything, but how do you measure that the students can appraise it? Okay. Okay, all right. So don't worry about it. We have a session with Dr. Asha to talk more about this in a bit. So feel free to share your assessment here. Okay. All right. So thank you for those who have submitted. Thank you. We will look into your submissions in later on. Okay. Thank you. So now that you have done that, I have another activity, but this is an optional activity. Okay. So this is an alternative way to look at assessment and how to do it. So there's in this blog where Mashita, the author is Mashita, our teammates, our manager, has shared some tips on what makes a good online assessment. She has given her tips on what a good online assessment comprises of. So I want you to go into the blog post and share in the comment section below on what your thoughts regarding the points mentioned in the blog. If you agree or disagree, if you have any new ideas about assessment after reading the blog post, and if you're interested to find out how this type of assessment can be done. So this is an optional thing, so don't worry about it. You can read the blog after the session. Okay. All right. So now we're just going to go to the next page. So before we dive into the contents and technicalities, let's look at where we're heading for today. So the workshop objectives today is that you will learn how to set up an assessment report on OpenLearning to assess a collection of learners' work to represent evidence of learning. So by the end of this workshop, you will be able to review your course outcomes, contents, and learning activities to ensure alignment, clarify what is outcome criteria, create an outcome-based assessment report to assess on OpenLearning. So we have 3 sessions: introduction to assessment, where we will explore the concept of assessment and how assessment is designed on the platform. Assessment on OpenLearning, where you will learn the importance of aligning your course outcomes to the evidence of learning that you would like to assess. You will be guided on how to tag your outcomes to the learning activities that you like to assess. And then the final session is assessment report,
where in this session, you will be developing the assessment report where you will set up the criteria and weightage for each criterion. You will also be introduced to different assessment types. So this workshop is actually very technical, so make sure that you have an active OpenLearning subscription or a trial plan as well. Okay, so with that, let's go to the first session. Okay, so the first thing is to do an assessment, we have to know what is assessment. So assessment is something we do to measure whether a student has achieved the course outcome. If something is included as a course outcome, you need an assessment to measure whether the students have achieved it, right? Okay, so you all have a learning outcome. That is the goal that you want the learners to achieve, right? So how do you know that the learners have achieved this outcome? Is by assessment. Okay, so for example, in a UTS course, an introduction to computer game design, one of the course outcome was by the end of the course, students will be able to critique games in terms of their function as a dynamic system of formal and dramatic elements in order to create interactive experiences. So one of the assessment was to critique a game. So you can see here the alignment of the assessment, right? It relates back to the outcome. So so this is how you make sure that the alignment is there. You can also have one assessment that addresses many or all of the course outcomes in it. Okay, so talking about constructive alignment, we have actually talked about this in the previous workshop. So if you want to know more about constructive alignment, you can just click in the spoiler to read more about it, right? Okay, so now we're going to go into what is outcome-based education. So to further explain this, let's have Dr. Aisha explain her views on outcome-based. Okay. So, but before that, let me introduce Dr. Aisha. So, Dr. Aisha is from Faculty of Civil Engineering Technology from UMP, University Malaysia Pahang. Dr. Aisha is the recipient of the National Teaching Award for the Engineering Cluster in the first National Academic Award in 2006 by the Ministry of Higher Education. She was later awarded the Chancellor Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2007 by the University of Malaya. And she was an expert panel and contributor to the publication of National Guidelines to Good Practices, Curriculum Design and Delivery, CDD, by MQA, right? So this is just a brief introduction to Dr. Aisha. You can read more about her under here in the spoiler section here. So without further ado, let me just pass this session to Dr. Aisha. Okay, sorry, Dr. Aisha, I think you're on mute.
Good. All right. Thank you, Atika. And good morning, everyone. I always envy Atika's energy and how vibrant she is always in all the series that I've attended so far. But I'm not a good student. I have not got my badges. I will find time and work it out sooner or later. And I'd like to thank OpenLearning for giving me this opportunity. And I do hope that I can keep up with Atika's energy to be talking about assessment. And I managed to browse through the blog prepared by Mashita, and I think it is already full there, self-explanatory, very good collections of basically points that we need to consider when it comes to how do we assess online. But before we talk about some of the things that Mashita already put in the blog, and also what Atika has already mentioned about what assessment is and what is it that we have to do when it comes to assessment. From the first activity that we had when it comes to assessment, I think because of the outcome-based system, we cannot run away from having to look after the outcome. So if you all don't mind, if I can share my screen now, is it okay? Right, okay. Can everybody see my screen now? Yeah, I do hope so.
Yes.
All right, okay then. So basically, we were talking about the outcome-based system, and I think we should be aware that outcome-based assessment or actually the fundamental or the basis behind the outcome-based assessment is actually the outcome-based education system. To be honest, when we talk about outcome-based, it is not only applicable for education. Outcome-based has been used for many other contexts, like the outcome-based budget, like the outcome-based management in our everyday life. And I think we must have heard that the reason why we focus on the outcome or we begin with the end in the mind is because we do not have the luxury of time to be so exploratory, and we want to be efficient in whatever that we do. And especially now with the teaching and learning, because we are currently using a system that requires us to work within the given time. For example, for a degree program, we are talking about 14 weeks of teaching and learning time with students, and after the 2 weeks breaks, then we have the assessment. So we need to make sure that the 14 weeks is being carried out efficiently. So in the context of education, when we talk about outcome-based education, basically we are juggling with three things. We are juggling with the assessment, we are juggling with the delivery of the content of the subject, and I suppose the main difference between the old system and the outcome-based system is having to come up with and to be mindful of the outcome that we have stated in our course or in our program. So in this context, I will go down to the level of how do we handle the course learning outcome, because at the end of the day, I think here we are talking about how do we actually design a course in an online learning platform. Therefore, I think in Malaysia, we are all aware that the requirement for us to fulfill the outcome-based assessment is perhaps due to the requirement by the MQA through COPA 2 and through MQF. However, I think it is also worth pondering, do I need to constructively align my assessment to learning outcome if my course is short, if it's non-academic, if they are not stackable in nature, they don't have to be stackable. Do I need to consider outcome-based assessment, and also do I need to look after alignment? If, for example, I'm trying to come up with an online course for self or professional development or for upskilling. To be honest, the answer is yes. For example, if you look at like I love what Atika mentioned earlier on. She mentioned about if we have a goal. So in general, when we talk about everyday life, if we want to do something, want to achieve something, for example, like I wanted to know how to get the best of a webcam, for example, right? So that is my goal. So I go and find suitable content, and at the end of the day, I will have to do something to make sure that I achieve my goal. So you can see that all the energy that I put into what I did in the process of the one that I described earlier on is actually all towards the goal. So whether the goal is actually being being written down, being specifically said, or if the goal is in our heart and also mind, we are still actually, to be honest, do things and put a lot of energy towards achieving our goal. So in education, basically this is also what we do. It is no different, and that is why before outcome-based education being introduced in Malaysia, and before it's being made well public throughout the world, I think for instructional designer, we are all always aware that whenever that we design a curriculum, so here when we talk about curriculum, to be honest, curriculum by definition is about creating 24/7 learning experiences. So when we're talking about creating learning experiences, we always talk about we need to have a goal, and we need to work backward towards the goal that we already have in mind. So I think Mashita and also Chandru and many others who are here with us today, I think they are all aware that outcome-based is actually a so-called a backward design. So let's now look at why is it that it is so important that makes our COPA requires us to focus on the outcome-based assessment. Why is it that assessment need to be aligned all the time? And in here you can see in the COPA, it's not only assessment principles need to be aligned. At the end of the day, we also need to align our teaching and learning activities, and we also need to align many other things such as the feedback, the marking criteria. Those are items that we also need to make sure that we align to the goal or to the learning outcome of a course. And I think in Mashita's blog, it is well said that you need to make sure that you do not forget about students' feedback. And again, when we talk about student feedback here, we are also talking about it need to be aligned to the learning outcome. Although I think in the COPA it says it says so simply, like in 2.1.1 here. However, the whole process of wanting to achieve the outcome-based assessment is a lot actually, and we need to put a lot of effort into it. Why is it that we pay special attention to assessment when it comes to wanting to achieve learning outcome? Because at the end of the day, I think we must have heard about if it's not important, we don't assess it. Or at the end of the day, I think we are all aware that assessment is the gatekeeper of quality of whatever that we do. So if we would like to deliver a quality course, online course, we have to make sure that we assess our course accordingly, and the assessment has to be valid and also have to be fair. So I don't think it's time to be talking about the quality assurance, but here Atika has also mentioned earlier on that I think when it comes to assessment, when it comes to constructive alignment, or when it comes to outcome-based curriculum, outcome-based system. So when we talk about outcome-based assessment, we are talking about using the outcome-based system, and the heart of outcome-based system is constructive alignment. We cannot claim that we have actually fulfilled or we have designed our course, be it the physical in-person face-to-face course, or be it the online course, using the so-called outcome-based system, unless we can prove that we are taking care of constructive alignment. Just a quick recap, and I'm sure Atika has mentioned that it has been covered before, what constructive alignment is all about. And the first thing about constructive alignment, if I can narrate what constructive alignment is all about, constructive alignment is about stating clear, measurable learning outcome. So that is the first one, clear, measurable statement of learning outcome, followed by choosing appropriate, not right, choosing appropriate assessment methods that can measure learning outcome that we have stated. Then only we have to choose appropriate or use appropriate teaching and learning activities that will help our students to be ready for the assessment method that we choose to measure the learning outcome. So that is the full narrative of constructive alignment, and that is how the three elements of outcome-based education are linked together. So typically, I think we must have seen table like this. This is actually from COPA 2 table 4, which I think everybody is familiar with if you are in the higher learning institution, and you can see where the three elements are. And the first element is outcome over here, second element is assessment over here, and the third element is actually the teaching methods over here. So I remember when OBE was first introduced in my university. I was previously from University of Malaya. I was also involved in designing a form like this for lecturers to fill in. And we are actually putting the three columns in one page. And when lecturers been given this form, basically a lot of people just filling them in like so, 1, 2, 3. To be honest, that is not how they need to be done, because I think if you can still recall how I narrate the constructive alignment definition, we are talking about we have to come up with clear, measurable learning outcome. So that is the first one. And the second thing that we need to do when we are handling outcome-based system, we have to choose appropriate assessment method that can measure learning outcome that we have stated in column 1. Only after we have choose appropriate assessment method, then only we are ready to actually choose appropriate teaching and learning activities that will scaffold, that will help students to be ready for the assessment that we put in that particular column. So that is what we call the alignment as what is required in any quality assurance system. And you can see here that I have also shown that the steps of 1, 2, and 3 as what I label here as horizontal alignment. So what we're trying to look from horizontal alignment, we want to make sure that if, for example, the learning outcome number 1 is cognitive in nature, then the assessment method must also be the method that has the ability to measure cognitive domain. And I think we are all aware when it comes to the outcome-based system, we are always talking about the 3 learning domains, and they are the knowledge or the cognitive domain, the skills or the psychomotor domain, and we also have another domain that is the attitude or the affective domain. So if, for example, the second CLO is actually the affective domain, we need to actually use assessment method that can measure the affective domain as well. So in this case, although I think we are all aware in higher learning, in higher education, we always, or even at school, we always use assessment methods such as assignment, test, quiz, final exam. These are the common, what we call the assessment tools available, and we have been using them a lot, but that does not necessarily means that they has the ability to measure a particular domain that we would like to measure. So that is something that we need to look after. So similarly, if we are talking about we are having the psychomotor kind of learning outcome, then we have to make sure that the assessment method that we use has the ability to measure this psychomotor domain. But before I share with you some of the things about the horizontal alignment, I've also noticed earlier on during the activity that Atika posed to us at the beginning of the session about the statement of learning outcome that has been put up by some of us. So here, I just like to mention that in order for us to take care of the outcome-based assessment, which is here, again, we need to make sure that we have good set of learning outcome. I don't think we can stress even more about this. So if we do not have a clear, good learning outcome statement, we can forget about steps number 2. So in here, I would like to just give a quick revision on how do we write a good learning outcome. One is the rules. The rules is always we cannot use the keluar AF action verb. All learning outcome must begin with action verb, and we cannot be using something like students should be able to know. The KLUAAF stands for students should be able to know, students should be able to learn, students should be able to understand, students should be able to appreciate, students should be able to be aware, students should familiarize. So those are the 2, 4, 6, 7. Those are the 7 action verb, right, forbidden in writing learning outcome, because the reason being they've been argued as difficult to measure. They are not quite measurable. So I do hope that in order for us to come up with the assessment tools or activities for us to choose and put in these in the assessment column, we have to revisit our learning outcome so that the learning outcome is actually written using action verb that is measurable. So I just like to leave it there as far as learning outcome is concerned. The second thing about the outcome-based assessment, which I don't think it is within the context of today's session. However, I just like to mention this very quickly. When we talk about the constructive alignment not only need to be done horizontally, but it also need to be done vertically, because I think we are all aware, if we are handling a subject in a program, then our subject is always being mapped to at least 3 program learning outcome, because at the end of the day, program learning outcome need to be developed progressively over times, over how many years of that particular program being offered, and they need to be developed through several subjects in every semester. So let's say in this example, PLO3 is actually mapped with PLO2. What we need to do here is we not only having to make sure that the assessment method that we choose here, if I can use a different color now, if I can use not to confuse people, I use different color here. So let's say if we use assessment number 3 here, we have to make sure that assessment number 3 not only should have the ability to measure CLO3, but assessment number 3, the method that we choose here, or the assessment method that we choose here, must also has the ability to measure what it says in that particular PLO. And I think we are all aware, if I'm referring to the previous MQF, out of, for example, 8 all MQF learning outcome, 6 of them are non-cognitive, they are all skill-based. So this is where I think Atika was mentioning earlier on, that perhaps we should be running away from quiz all the time, because when it comes to assessing skills and also other domains, we perhaps need to use other types of assessment, and perhaps we may also need to consider what we call alternative assessment. So if we can move on, and I think when it comes to assessment, this is just an example. How do we choose appropriate assessment methods to the learning outcome as shown in this slide? And what this slide is trying to tell us is that if we look at the cognitive ability, if we are talking about lower taxonomy, learning taxonomy levels, we can still use what we call a weaker assessment method, such as exam, such as assignment. Again, we can see here we use exam here. But when it comes to a much higher taxonomy, because earlier on I've seen some of you mention about my outcome is about student having to interpret, to evaluate, to critique. So those are higher learning taxonomy. So talk about higher learning taxonomy. The use of exam quiz is a little bit what we call I do not want to be judgmental, like, to be honest. All I'm saying is that perhaps we can consider much better assessment methods that has the ability to measure the intended learning outcome, like what we mentioned earlier on, things like evaluate, create, design, and so on. And I think in this example, we can see when it comes to higher level of learning taxonomy, then the assessment methods has moved away from examination. It has moved towards the so-called authentic assessment and more towards alternative assessment. So that's what this slide is trying to tell us, right? And another thing, this is just basically some of the notes showing us how do we measure, or how do we measure cognitive learning outcome at different levels, and what are the basically instruction, assessment instruction verbs we can use in the actual question, and what are the assessment methods, or what are the assessment activities that we can conduct if we would like to measure that particular cognitive ability from 1 to 3. And I'm just going to go through quickly. The next one is level 4, 5, 6. You can find this from the internet, and this is how we measure it, measure the psychomotor domain. And again, the levels, the different levels in the psychomotor domain, and also this is how we can measure the affective domain. And this is also another guide from another book from the Ministry of Higher Education. How do we measure, how do we take care of alignment between assessment and also the learning outcome, and also the teaching and learning activities. So now I would like to show how we can basically take care of our assessment, and how do we take care of constructive alignment and our outcome-based assessment as shown in the system now in a document. So as I mentioned, in a document, we have the 3 columns. So here we have the outcome column, and then we have the assessment column, which is column number 2. And then we also have the teaching and learning activities over here. And this is actually the PLO for the vertical alignment. And we can see here that in one particular learning outcome over here, it says menghuraikan, explain, in English it is explain in detail. And in here you can see that the 2 assessment methods being recommended or being used here is actually, one is examination of 30%, and another one is actually either reflection or the written report. And if we ask ourselves, can exam be used to measure students' ability, how to explain? The answer is yes, if we actually write an exam question such as please explain so and so in detail. So basically we are talking about an essay or short essay question in the exam. So this is considered as a line assessment to that particular learning outcome. And if we look at the either reflection or the written assessment here, and the reason why another assessment in this particular example is being introduced is because this assessment is trying to align with the PLO given here, which is the KKM3, and the KKM3 is about social skills and responsibilities. So here you can see that we cannot rely on exam to measure social skills and responsibility, and that's the reason why reflection or written report on social skill and responsibility being used to measure that particular PLO in this example. But as I mentioned, what Atika going to walk you through today is about we taking care of perhaps the horizontal alignment. Right, so that is one example. This is my subject. This is another example. You can see here, I also use 2 assessment methods to measure a particular learning outcome over here, CLO1. And the reason why I use 2 assessment method is because the first one test at 15% is for me to measure cognitive level 2, and the practical tutorial 10% is for me to measure PLO number 4, because PLO number 4 in my faculty is actually a psychomotor PLO, and the psychomotor is at level 1. So basically these are what outcome-based assessment is all about. It's about making sure that the assessment methods are aligned to the learning outcome, and making sure that the marking scheme are also aligned to the learning outcome, meaning that we award students the marks given based on their ability to describe in this particular example. And we have to make sure that before we actually put students on this particular assessment, that we grade them, we need to create teaching and learning activities or whatever activities that we do in class to enable students to be ready for the kind of assessment that we choose in this particular column over here. And the feedback that we need to give to students is also based on the ability to describe in this particular course learning outcome. So that is what outcome-based assessment look like in a document, and how we are very familiar with when it comes to designing our course physically. When we move on the online platform, the only difference now is that we have to deliver these items, these assessment items in the online platform. Or in other words, we have to deliver all this assessment now in the cyberspace. I think this is where quite a lot of us get a little bit dizzy and confused, such that when we try to come up with, let's say, an online course assessment plan, or when we are trying to actually revise our teaching plan, what we put in this column is the the online learning platform feature, which is this one. So I'm just do a screen capture of the Moodle platform feature over here, and we can see that many lecturers, when they actually revise their document during the MCO period, the assessment that they put in the column are basically quiz, assignment, quiz, assignment, quiz, assignment. This is because these are the two basically features in the online platform that they are familiar with. And I think this is where we need to be what we call aware of, that technology is there to support us to do what we're supposed to do. So basically the education principle have to come first, and the technology will have to come second. We have to make our Moodle platform features, or the open learning features that Atika going to walk you through, do what we have to do as what we documented here. If we have to do a test, so we need to find out how can we do effective tests online using the online learning platform features available to us. So we should not actually let go of our outcome-based assessment principle. We cannot let go the alignment principle just because we kind of confuse and get ourselves immersed in the availability of the features in the online learning platform as shown here. So this is something interesting that I found when I was given the opportunity to help and give feedback to new lecturers who wanting to basically design their course online. So when they transform their course online, one topic, for example, of the course online, I found that they have abandoned the original assessment that has been aligned to the learning outcome as what has been written in the original document. When they design their online topic or course, they stick to the assessment is quiz, the assessment is this. That should not be. So just to give you an idea what I did with my course, I actually you can see here I break my course into 3 modules. So I had actually developed one module fully online, and I just like to share a quick snapshot how it is done. And you can see here I still captured my original assessment because my intention is that my module should be stackable at the end of the day, because if my student took in future, if they take this 3 module, they should be able to basically combine the badges, digital badges, and they should get credit for this particular subject. So you can see in this subject, I have a test for 15% and practical tutorial for 10%. And the learning outcome that I would like them to be able to achieve at the end of module 1 is the ability to describe and how they can use that to basically use that in the engineering technology application. So when I develop that particular module fully online. So you can see here that I still have my test, but now I break them up into 2 parts, and I still actually conduct the practical, um, basically the practical assessment. And for each, I decided to break them up into 3, one module into 3 topics. And for each topic, I designed one dedicated learning outcome for that topic. And I also align the assessment back to the learning outcome. So that is how I did it. And basically, how do I align the assessment? So you can, I just like to show a sample of CLO number 3, where at the end of this online course, I like students to be able to classify a soil. So because it is psychomotor and it is practical, like what you have seen in my original document here, PO4 is actually psychomotor and it is psychomotor 1. Therefore, when I convert it into an online course, I still keep that alignment, I still keep that assessment, but now I have to deliver it online. So how I did that, I actually created a miniaturized lab work and I delivered to my student through normal delivery. And basically at the end of that particular practical activity, student will have to show that they are able to classify the soil. And how do I make sure that student will be ready for the assessment that I went through a lot preparing the material and having to deliver all this packaging, all these packages to them, is that in my course, in my online course, I have activities, plenty of activities that has been designed so that they have bite-sized teaching and learning activities that they need to actually do it over here. So I know that the first part they have to do this, they have second part they have to do this. So in my teaching and learning activities, I make sure that I kind of simulate the processes that they have to do when they need to sit for their real assessment. And I think that is what we need to look after when we move from the typical normal assessment that we do in person to how we have to do it online, full online. This is my final slide. I hope, Atika, I did not take too much time. This is just to show some example how we can take care of our outcome-based assessment. Again, outcome-based assessment is not outcome-based assessment if we do not look after constructive alignment. And constructive alignment is about choosing appropriate assessment method that can measure the intended learning outcome. And only after we have choose the assessment method, then only we can actually think about what are the teaching and learning activities that we can give to our students so that they are ready for the assessment method that we choose. And when we choose teaching and learning activity, we must also make sure that, like what Mashita put in her blog, take the opportunity, be it online or be it physical, how we can give effective feedback that is also aligned to the learning outcome. We have to make sure that the feedback is also aligned to the learning outcome. For example, if we want students to be able to describe, you can see here, this is actually a real case that I took from some of the work that I've done before. This particular lecturer has the intended learning outcome as a student should be able to describe so and so, and she put there the assessment method as quiz, and then we probe the lecturer, what kind of quiz would you like to give to your student? And the answer is, it is a 15 question, 15 MC multiple choice question. And when I actually asked the lecturer, do you think that the 15 MCQs has the ability to measure whether student can describe whatever that you would like student to describe? And true enough, the lecturer said, I don't think it can. So you can see that this is an example where when the lecturer moved from the in-person assessment to an online, automatically the lecturer thought about the Moodle features quiz, but that should not be it, right? And then basically the teaching and learning activities looks okay actually, because it is aligned to the students' ability to describe the content, where they actually get students to watch a video, looks okay here. So let's look at another example over here. One particular lecturer asked student to has written down the learning outcome as a student should be able to compute. And at the end of the day, the lecturer again choose quiz, because when I asked, why do you choose quiz? Because this is what we can do in Moodle. And I said, if you use quiz, what type of quiz do you? Because I think we are all aware in Moodle there are many in quiz in Moodle can also be used to give to put up the MCQs, to put up the short essay question and all that. So all I'm saying is that as long as the assessment method, okay, this is where I think we need to be careful what assessment method terms that we put here in our document, because the quiz here can be the assessment method, or the quiz here can be the Moodle feature in the online learning platform. So I think what the lecturer did here was she I cannot remember he or she actually put quiz because the way they actually did it was in Moodle they choose the quiz feature, but in actual when we probe the assessment method that the lecturer uses is actually aligned to the learning outcome, right? This is just an elaboration of example, the first example that I've given earlier on. You can get students to actually achieve the intended learning outcome to describe through tests. If you use, for example, assignment feature in the online learning platforms such as Moodle. I've also came across lecturers who are actually offering a TVET subject, a TVET program. Highly practical subject. When they have to do it online, I was amazed how the lecturer can still ensure that the assessment is outcome based, because although it is practical, they still make sure that the assessment measure the practical aspect of the learning outcome. For example, the learning outcome is a student at the end of the day should be able to construct certain thing, right? So what the lecturer did was when he moved on to the online mode, he gave a task-based assessment, and it is in a form of online, and he asked students to construct something, and he asked students to actually present whatever that they have construct and show a video and show all kinds of things using the PowerPoint. What I love about his technique was he supported students on how they can develop that particular ability and how students can perform the task as what is required in the assessment that has been aligned to the intended learning outcome. He supported students through very structured video, how student can do things, and he also gives student a lot of feedback on their problems throughout the construction of the work that they need to submit as their assessment via discussion in Padlet. So I think that is such a wonderful example of how we can actually conduct outcome-based assessment in an online environment. So I would like to stop there, Atika. And I do hope that it does complement to what you would like to walk them through today. And I do hope that it is beneficial for everybody. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Aisha. That's very, very helpful to our session today. But actually, I actually have a request on the Keluar AF. I wanted to, can you reiterate that back again?
Right. In the rules of writing learning outcome, there is a difference between outcome and objective, and also goals and aims. So when we talk about outcome has to be strictly measurable. That is why we cannot have an outcome and we do not measure the outcome, meaning that we do not have assessment for that particular outcome. So that is why when it comes to writing outcome, we need to use the so-called action verb that can be measured, except Keluar AF, KLUA-AF. What that KLUA-AF stands for, it is know, learn, understand, appreciate, aware, and also familiarize. Those are the 2, 4, 6. Those are the 6 no action verbs when it comes to learning outcome, but they are allowed if you write objective. For example, you can have a session objective. For example, when you want to deliver your unit in your learning, for example, in your topic, you said that, okay, these are the session objective. So in the session objective, you are allowed to use those verbs, but strictly in learning outcome, you are not allowed to use those verbs. Similarly with aims and also goals, you are allowed to use those verbs, but when it comes to intended learning outcome, the rules is you cannot use those verbs.
Oh. I actually didn't know about this Keluar AF thing. I know that we always want to go for the measurable verbs, but okay, now I know that there's
right. So that is one example. You see the example that I've shown earlier on, how I convert one of my module from one of the learning outcome to the online course. Since my intention is the module will be stackable, therefore I do not actually use topic or session objective, but I actually use the word outcome in my online course. And the outcomes are actually can be put together to at the end of the day, it constitute the main learning outcome as what it says in my course. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much on that. I guess what I want to reiterate back to everybody is that how important the learning outcome, that's the base of it, right? That's the base of it. That's how if you get the correct outcome, it'll be easier for you when you're designing your assessment.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
So thank you, Dr. Aisha. for those who, if you guys have any question, you can question regarding this, you can just ask Dr. Aisha in the chat. She'll be happy to answer it right now, or maybe after she will include it in their email later on. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Aisha. I guess I'm going to continue with the next session. Okay. All right. Oops. Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna. Okay. Okay. So, based on from what Dr. Aisha has mentioned, there's a lot of ways that you can do your assessment, but overall, it all comes down back to aligning it back, constructing, aligning it back to your outcome, constructing it to be aligned all together with your activities and your assessment. So that's what we strive for at OpenLearning. So even though you see Dr. Aisha was showing from Moodle, don't worry, Dr. Aisha also have a course on OpenLearning. So, but that's what we wanted for this workshop as well. We want everybody to showcase how they do their course, right? So what Dr. Aisha was saying, how that try not to limit yourself to quizzes. When you go into an online learning environment, a lot of people usually constrain themselves to quizzes, MCQ quizzes, MCQ especially, like closed-ended, because they think that online you can do an open-ended project base, but actually online is the best place to use this, to fully utilize this, actually, because you have all the information worldwide to that you can utilize, right? But that's what Dr. Aisha was trying to say, that was how a lot of people, even especially when they're using Moodle, they're using it for assessment, they're using it for quizzes instead of utilizing it for forums, discussions, or anything, because that's where the authenticity comes in, where when you create assessment that are open-ended and everything, those are where the authenticity come in. So that's what we want you to do, learn how to develop assessment methods that aligns to what you have planned in the documents to capture the authenticity of the learner's learning, right? So yes, so I guess that's what we're trying to show you throughout all of our workshops, but mainly for this workshop, we're looking mainly for open-ended, outcome-based and open-ended assessment, because that's how you get learners authentic learning. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to keep sharing my screen. Okay. So now I am in the next page, which is assessment on OpenLearning. So our goal is to provide effective learning experience for learners and be able to evaluate their learning authentically. To that end, we have designed our assessment system around the course outcome of a course rather than a specific assignment, exams, and other box checking activities. So you can see here how the middle is the course outcome, and it relates back to the learning activities and the assessment criteria, right? So that's how we design the platform to be. We want every activities, every assessment that you have is goes to relate back to the outcome that you have, it revolves around the course outcome and not just like specific assignment, exams, and other activities that you have. So the course design and assessment design can be created independently with both aligning to the same course outcome. Even though you have like so course outcomes that you have are mainly are the goal, and that's what you wanted it to end as well. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is take a look back at your course outcome and how you will get the evidence to go towards that goal. Okay, so how we're doing this is we're going to do this activity. So referring to your own course on OpenLearning or the course that you have, here's what I want you to do. In the text box here, under here, share your course outcomes and list the evidence that you want to see that will fulfill the outcomes. So you can see the example below here. For the graphic design course, this is for one outcome, okay, which is apply the graphic design elements to produce an effective design in Photoshop and Illustrator. So, and the evidence or rubrics that you have is like this. For this outcome is like this. So to give an opinion on how lines, shapes, textures are used in a given design, sketch a company logo using elements they have learned, share images of suitable font ideas, and final product is advertisement to promote a business. Okay, so that is for one outcome, and you have the evidence for that outcome. How the learners are able to showcase that they have fulfilled outcomes are from this evidence. So what I want you to do now is think of your outcome that you have shared earlier in the homepage. Think of that outcome and think of the evidence of how you will put it, make sure that the students have achieved the outcome, right? Like you have the activities. So what exactly does the activities do to, I mean, like, how do you know that the students have achieved this? What are the evidence that you can put in, the rubrics that you can put in order for you to know that the students have achieved the outcome, right? So that's what I wanted you to do now. Just think of one outcome. You can use the one that you have posted in the homepage and paste it in here and put in the evidence. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes to do this. All right, let's go. We already have Christina posting this. Okay, but I'll give you 5 minutes to think of this and post your own. All right. Okay, it's not 5 minutes yet, but since we have like a few people already submitting, so I'm just going to read it while you guys continue adding your own, putting in your own submissions. Okay. Okay. So for Christina, she has put in her outcome, which is to adapt various educational technology, multimedia tools and techniques. So the evidence is that they need to first select the level, okay, and then start with creating lesson plan for the modules, design contents using computer instructional courseware, CIC, okay, sketch and provide display materials for modules, and 4, prepares complete creative and innovative ICT teaching aid that can be used for face-to-face online learning. Okay, and then the final product will be a set of completed modules which is relevant to the level chosen by the students. Okay. Oh, I can see this. So by having this modules, the modules, it means that they have they have achieved that they are able to adapt the various educational technologies. Okay. All right, that's good. The course is EduTech, CLO, and assessments. Okay. And then we have Lee. Outcome is examine the effect of interconnects and timing issues in digital circuits. Okay, the evidence is give an opinion on the effects of interconnects and timing issues are used in the given technical paper. Share your findings through presentations, suggest ways to improve the issues found, and compile your findings in report writing. That's good. These are all good. So the evidence is that students they need to give opinions, share their findings, suggest ways, and compile. By having all this, they are able to means that they are able to examine the effect of interconnects and timing issues in digital circuits. So good. All right. Let's look at Fatima. Okay, the outcome is identify network applications in real life. The evidence is share an image of a network in your life, list what are the vertices and edges of the images, and watch the video who are the super spreaders. Give your opinion on the network related steps you took or will take in order to avoid being a super spreader. Give your opinion and okay, all right. Okay, that's good. Let's see if there's more people. This. Okay, we have Michelle. Okay, let's see. Create an educational escape game using Genially. Evidence is explain the reasons for using gamification in the lessons. Construct a plan as the layouts of the escape game. Create educational escape game in Genially using ready-made templates. And final product, an educational escape game created in Genially. Oh, wow. This is really interesting. So the final product is that they have an escape game, and this is just from an outcome to create an educational escape game using Genially. So she have like a lot of stuff, like everybody else that have shared. They have like a few evidences in order for them to showcase that the students have achieved these outcomes, and this one particular outcome. So yeah. This is good. This is actually how you can, all the evidence that you have put in are actually the rubrics that you will set up in the report later. Okay, so why the reason why you show this is because this is how it will look like in the assessment report will look like once you have set it up. Okay, so this is from the assessor's point of assessor's view. I hope you guys can see this. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the assessor's view. So you have the outcome here. And then this is the criteria, which is the evidence that you have set up. So the first one is the distance between the elements used in the design appropriate. So if it's appropriate, they pass. If not, they fail. So, and then is the chosen color palette picked properly? And then you have like the categories A, B, C, D, E, F. So you can choose that. So this is the ones that you have set up as evidence can be the rubrics, the criteria that that you will be using for the outcome. Okay, and then that's the assessor's view. This is how the students will view it. So their view is nearly the same as the assessor's view, but they can only see if they're whether they're fail or have passed, fail or pass, which bands or categories that they got or anything. So they can only see what the rubrics that they have achieved. So this actually is needed. Why? Is because from there they can know what they did right or what they did wrong, didn't get wrong. So usually they only get like the mark is like 100%, but they only get 75. So by having all these criteria, they get to know why they didn't get 100%. Okay, so that this is what we want. Aside from you having to assess authentically, the learners get to know why they are assessed this way. Thus, their learning will be more authentic once they have submitted their works. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the next page, which is this is the next module, outcome-based assessment on open learning. So now it's going to be more technical. So I'm just going to show you. Oh no, okay. This is going to start to be more technical. So this is where it starts, where you use your own cost, the cost that you have on open learning. This is where it started. Okay. Okay. So now setting up the learning outcomes. Okay. So setting up your learning outcomes are just like creating your shopping list. At the end of it, you want to be able to get everything that you have listed, right? So like I mentioned, that is your goal. You want you want your learners to achieve their goal. So and you want them to achieve all of it, right? So nearly like a shopping list, you want to get everything on the shopping list. It's the same as think of it like that. So assessment design is all about setting the right outcomes. How should your outcomes look like? This has been mentioned multiple times by Dr. Aisha just now. So begin with a verb and articulate what learners will know or be able to do by the end of the course. So begin with the verb. The verb that you need to use is measurable verb, measurable action verbs, but don't use the keluar AF, keluar AF, the ones that Taisha has mentioned. Those are not. Those are the no-nos. So that's how you plan out your outcomes. Okay, begin with the verb and articulate what the learners will know or be able to do by the end of the course. Okay, so activity. So now we have activity. So some of you might already have set your learning outcomes. So if you have not, I want you to set up the learning outcomes that you have on your course by going to the left tab on your page. So on your own course, you will see the course setup and then the outcome tab over here. Okay, and then from there you can just key in your outcome. So most of you who have already have a course set up or anything, I believe that most of you have already set up your course outcome. But if you have not, just go to course setup and click outcome over here. So also you can easily rearrange your outcomes by clicking on the icon with 3 lines next to each outcome tags and drag it to rearrange it.
So let's see here. So here, if you want to rearrange this, you can just click on it and drag it whichever you want. And if you don't want it anymore, just click the X button. Okay, so while you put in your outcome, also you need to put in the outcome text. For me, I suggest to put in outcome text that you can read back. You know what it is about. A lot of people put the outcome text as like CLO1, CLO2, CLO3. But if you put that, you might probably don't remember what it is, right? So I suggest to put outcome text like for this is like review your outcomes, content, learning activity. So the outcome text is aligned with COLA, and clarify what is outcome criteria, develop criteria, and then like third one, create an outcome-based assessment, assessment types, something like that. Okay. So try to put tags that you will know what it is about. Okay. All right. So once you have that done, once you have put in your outcomes, the tags, just click save and you're done. Also, there's a new setting that you can put in, which is the alignment tag visibility. So here the outcome is just for to display the alignment tags on widgets. This is only visible to the course staff. So if you see here, for example, this one, or not this one. Let's see. Let me see. Let me show you how it looks like. This one doesn't have. Okay. Let me show you again. Might have not this one. Oh, I didn't check this. It's weird. Okay, so this is how it will see. It will show. So if you set up the display alignment tags over here, if you check the box, it will be shown over here. So you know this part, this activity is one outcome text. So don't worry, the learners will not be able to see the outcome text. They will not. This will not be visible to the learners, but you will see. So this is easier for you when you're planning your activities. Okay. All right. So this is just an added setting. So if you don't want to look at this, you can just untick this. Okay. So if you're done with setting up your outcome, if you already have did that, you can just click this checkbox. I've set my learning outcomes in the outcome page. And then you're done. Let's go to the next page. Okay. Is there any question before I move to this page? Okay. No questions so far. Okay, let's go to tagging activities with outcomes. So you can use outcome tags, the one that you have set up here, the outcome tags here, to link course contents, activities, and learners' posts to the learning outcomes. The tags will automatically be attached to any post made by the learners. So for those who have joined our workshop before, especially the engaging activities, I think most of you have tagged your activities
with the outcome, right? So by now you have already set up your learning outcome and shorthand tags for each outcome. So what's next? So next part is we want you to tag a page or posting widgets with the outcome via the page tagging or widget tagging. Okay. So for those who haven't done this, I'm going to show you how you can do this. So first one is page tagging. So page tags can indicate to the learners that the content activities on the page are related to a particular outcome. So as shown in this screenshot below, which is on a page for line, shape, and texture, you have the outcome on top of this. So right now, before this, if you've noticed, for those who have used OpenLearning before a while, the outcome is at the end of the page, but now it's on top of the page. This helps you to visualize the page easier when you navigate. So you don't have to scroll all the way down in order for you to see the tags that are the page tags for that page. Okay, so now you can see the page tags. Not just you, but the learners as well. So the learners can estimate. I'm going to use estimate. Predict what outcome they will be learning for that page. Okay. All right. So that is page tagging. How you do page tagging is very simple. In all your pages, you can just go to edit and just add your learning outcome. So develop criteria, let's see, align color, develop criteria, or assessment type. Just click that. Or if you have like a specific, like a module specific LOs, you can also type it up, module specific. Specific LO. You can also type it out. But if you can see here, like the buds, the plant buds are, these are the main LOs, and the ones that are not the main LOs doesn't have it. So if you view it, you can see that the non-specific one, non-main course outcome are gray colored, and the main ones are bright colored. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete that because that's not the ones. Okay. All right, so that is how you do page tagging. Okay, so now posting widget tagging. So posting widget tagging is that you tag the post, the activity post. You can also set outcome tags on specific activity widgets instead of the entire page. So these tags will automatically be attached to any post made from this activity. So as shown in this screenshot, you can see this is a post tags widget. When you click sharing, the sharing settings, they will have this tag part. So this is where you tag your activities by post tags. So for those who doesn't know, so for post tags, so to tag activities, it can only be done on posting widgets, which is the orange ones. Post tags, post image, and post files. These are the core ones. You can also use the group activity, post link, post page, and share anything. So the orange one will have the share settings. But like for example, if you see here, the text widget doesn't have the share setting. So only the orange colored ones have the share settings. So under the share settings, you can see the tags box, and just like the page tags, click on it, And then you can choose which of the outcomes, or if you have added ones, activity specific LO, you can just type it out and click enter. Okay, so for this one, because some of the outcome may be attached to other activities as well, you can add modules, activity specific LOs in order for you to make sure that those activities are the ones that come up in your report. Okay, I'm just going to keep the activity specific LOs in there so that you can see. Oops. Okay. All right, so that is how you tag your activities. Okay, so activities, page wise, you don't really need to tag everything, but it's my suggestion is it's best to tag it so that you know it aligns to your outcomes, it aligns to your contents and everything. So but if you feel like you don't want to tag the pages, it's okay. But for activities, it's a must if you want to put it in, if you want it to reflect on your assessment report. Okay, so make sure that you tag your activities in order for you to see the submissions in the report later on. Okay, so a helpful tip, outcome tags can also be added to widgets and pages after the learners have already posted. So the post or the evidence will appear in the assessment report. So as I mentioned, even if you accidentally put in, didn't tag it before, you can put in after so that the submissions will appear. Submissions will appear in the report. Okay. All right. So now, for those who haven't tagged your activities with your outcomes, you can do so. So if you are already done that before, you can just click on this checkbox. I've tagged my content page and or activity widgets with the relevant outcome. Okay. All right. So if is there any question? Okay, we have question by Kim, but I'm going to answer this later on so that I can show you how it looks like. Okay. All right. If there are no questions for this, I am going to move to the next page. Okay. All right. So now we're on setting up roles for assessment. Okay. So there are, as you may know, there are 5 roles available within the course on OpenLearning. So there's course admin, facilitator, assessment designer, assessor, and the learner. So in this workshop, we're just going to focus on the 2 roles, which is assessment designer and assessor. Okay. So as an assessment designer, the first one is assessment designer. So an assessment designer can assess the assessment tab and has the ability to create assessment report and customize the alignment of activities to the learning outcome. So if you want to set somebody as an assessment designer, you can just go to roles, which is course setup, roles, and then just put in their ID or email, put them in and set them as design assessment. So these will enable them to create assessment reports and customize the alignment of activities to the learning outcome. Okay, so what assessment designers can assess are the following navigation tab tools. They can only see 2 of the tab tools. So right now I am course admin to this course, so I have all 4 tabs. But if you set somebody as just an assessment designer, they can only see 2 tabs, which is assessment learner, administer learners, and also assessment. But the ones that they will be mainly using is the assessment tab. And for the assessment tab, they only have 2 settings that they can use, which is assessment settings and report design. This is the only two settings that they can navigate to if they are assessment designer. Okay, and then so for number 2 is the assessor. So the assessor can access the assess learner section of the assessment tab and has the ability to review and evaluate learners' work via reports created by assessment designers. Okay, so if you want to set somebody as the assessor, just the assessor, go to roles, course setup, roles, and then just set them up as the assessors. Put them as assessors. Okay, so what assessors can assess? They actually can see 3 tabs, which is administer learners, assessment, and credentials. But the one that they'll be mainly using is the assessment tab and assess learners. They can only see one of this function for if they're an assessor. Okay, so unlike the assessment designer, they can see assessment setting and report design, but assessor can only assess learners. They cannot view the report. They cannot toggle or change the report or anything. They only assess the learners. Okay, all right. So right now, for those who haven't set these roles yet, you can assign this to yourself. I want you to assign yourself as the assessment designer and also the assessor. I want you to, if you haven't set this role or you're not sure if your role is updated to this, you can just go to course setup, roles, and then assign yourself to these 2 roles. Okay, so if you have created the course yourself, you will be automatically able to see the assessment tab. However, if you're invited to the course and to become a course administrator, you will need to set up this role, the assessment designer and assessor, to yourself, and in order for you to see the assessment tab. So even if you're the course admin, but if you don't create this, you were invited in by somebody to be a course admin, you need to still assign this role to yourself. Okay, so again, if you haven't set up this role, just go to course setup, click roles. Let me just show you course setup, roles. And see here. So because this course is created by me, I am able to be facilitator, assessor, and design assessment. So, but if I'm adding some of my colleagues, which are already course administrators in this course, I am going to add Chan to. Okay, so he is already an admin, but I'm going to set him as assessment assessor and assessment designer. So this is how you do it. Just put in their ID or their email, choose the ones that come up, and just set it up. That's it. They will, I think they will also get a notification if they're not part of it. They're not part of the course before. Okay. Okay, so we have a question by Lini. How about a moderator? Which roles should he or she be? A moderator will be moderating the assessment created by an assessor. I'm guessing a moderator is should be somebody who's because a moderator is a higher up, right? So facilitator. Let me think if facilitator are able to do that. Okay, so instead of giving course admin to the moderator, I suggest to give both roles, course admin, assessment design and assessor to the moderator. So they have two roles. As much as they're just moderating, it will be good for them to have both roles as they are much higher up to be facilitating and moderating the assessment created by the assessor, right? So my suggestion is to have to set up both of these roles to a moderator. Okay, thank you for that question. Okay. Okay. Yes, we also have a question by Yusri. We can only invite someone who's already has access to OpenLearning. Can I invite? Yes. So yes, this is correct, Yusuf. You can only invite somebody with an OpenLearning subscription, OpenLearning plan. So you cannot have somebody that doesn't have a subscription plan in order for you to put them in, because this means that they have to go through the course and everything. I mean the settings. So they are not just a learner. So a learner can only have an account, don't need to have a plan, a subscription plan, but those assessor, assessment designer, facilitator needs to have an OpenLearning OpenLearning plan, subscription plan. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask us in the chat box. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go to the next session, which is assessment report. So now we're going into creating the assessment report. But for this part, I'm just going to show you first how everything is, and then I will want you to do it for your own course. So just listen to my explanation first, and then if you have any questions or anything, just let me know in the chat box. Okay. And then by this part, I will want you to do your own report. Okay. So setting up the reports. Okay, so by now you have already set the course outcomes, tagged the outcomes to its respective learning activities or pages, and chosen the correct permissions in roles. So next we will create the assessment report in order to assess the students. Designing assessment on the platform. How to do this is that go to the left tab of your course. You will see a tab called assessment. By default, it will show up below the administer learners tab. So you will see three options. If you're both assessor and assessment designer, you'll see three options, which is the assessment settings, where you can set the assessment process, report design, where you can design the assessment report for each task, set projects, assignments in your course, and assess learners. This is the page where the assessors actually assess the students. Okay. So in order for you to create the report, the first thing you do is go to the assessment tab. There will be a drop-down menu which will appear. So for there, you click the report design button. Okay. So once you click the report design, it will lead you to a page, to the report design page. Okay. So from there, you will see we will create from there. We want to create the report. Which one is that in the new report, there will be 3 options. New report, new examination report, and new Learnosity exam report. Okay. But for this, for this workshop, we'll be looking in for the new report one. New examination report is for quizzes, page quizzes, the ones that you have like MCQs or anything. You can use that. This is an automatic report, automatic graded report. But for today's session, workshop will be using the new report, which is the ones that you put in your criteria and everything. Okay. So to add the new report, just choose new report and then click the add report button. Next, you type in the report name and report weight. Think of a suitable name for your report. For example, major task, course examination report. The report name can also be associated with the final project, like social media project. So you can know that you can create as many reports as you want according to the needs of your course. So some people create based on tasks. Create the report based on tasks. Some people create a report for the entire course. So what I'm doing today, what I'm going to show you, the example that I'm going to show you is for an entire course. One report for an entire course. Okay. So for this, I want you to try to do this. Create the report. So what you need to do is go to report design. Go to report design, go to assessment, and then go to report design. Choose new report, and then set the weight to 100, and then rename your report accordingly. So do take note that assessment on OpenLearning is structured around assessment reports. This report defines how an assessor should evaluate the learner's achievement in relation to the course outcome. This is done through defining assessment criteria, which flesh out learning outcomes and link them to relevant collections of learners' work. So this is what I meant. Like some people, you have to know that how are you planning to do the assessment report. Some people do it task-based, and some people do it for one report for one whole course. So the ones I'm showing right now, I'm going to show you how. So this is intro to graphic design. Okay, so for example, this is the course that report that I have, but I'm just going to show you how it looks like if you want to add new report. So you will have this new report. Just click add report and then set the weights. So for example, the ones that I have already here is 50%, and then another 50% for quizzes. So you just set in your weight for here, and then to put in the name, you have to go into edit. Okay, and then you can put in the name for the report. Okay. All right. So that is for assessment report. Just creating the report. You can create as many as you want, but for now, just let's create just one. Okay, so try to create it right now. I'll give you 2 minutes because it's very fast. All right. Okay. All right. So I think you guys have already created your report. Let's go into the next page, which is writing your evaluation criteria. Okay. So as stated before, the learners are assessed based on course outcome that you have specified earlier. Now let's add the evaluation criteria for your outcomes. You can also fill in the criteria weight as long as the total criteria weights are equal with the total weight of the report. So before I go into this, I want to show you, I want to maybe get a common ground on everybody. So criteria might mean something else to you. Some people actually refer this as rubrics. So it could be rubrics to you. Just have that in mind. Rubrics, criteria, evidence, those are the descriptions that the words that terms that you might use for this. So what we're doing right now for this page is that we're writing this criteria, evidence, or rubrics, right? Okay, so you have actually put in the previous activity that we have, that you put in one outcome and then the evidences. Those are actually those can actually be your criteria. Okay, so if you're planning to use that, you can reword it to make sure that the assessor can understand what you're trying to do. Like for example, like the graphic design course here, the criteria is the distance between the elements used in the design appropriate. So by having the criteria reworded like this, it's easier for the assessor to understand what you're trying to what you want the students to be able to showcase, right? Instead of like a description, like a passive description. So instead, if you have it something like this, it would be slightly easier to understand by the assessor. So this is what we wanted to do. So for example, just this is just for one outcome, but they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, 3, 7, 8. Okay, like eight criteria. So it doesn't have to be that that many. It doesn't have to be that many, but as long as you understand what it's trying to achieve, you can have it in as your criteria. So also the criteria weight for your report, you have a total score of you can set it how many total scores as you want, but for the criteria weight, it needs to be totaled up with the total score of your report. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how what are the steps on how to put in the criteria, on how you can write on your criteria, your rubrics, or your evidences. So the first one is in your report. When you go to edit it, in your report, you will see the outcomes that are listed. So pick the outcome that you wanted and just click on criterion, add criterion over here. And then you want to describe the criterion. Here you can include instructions to assessors on how to make evaluations on students' work. So like, for example, the evaluation criteria is evaluate and reflect on what the team needs and want to achieve. So this is the criteria. You need to have a criteria. Okay, and then what is the weight for it? Okay, So each criterion also has a weight, which determines how much this criterion is worth relative to the rest of the report. So if you have, like, for example, just one criteria and the total score for this report is 100, you can just put in 100, okay? But if you have more, like the graphic design, they have a total score of 100, but they have a lot of the weight. You need to divide each criteria lah, based on the percent, the weight. Okay. Okay. All right. So that is on criteria. Sorry. Yes, evaluation criteria. You don't need to do this yet. We'll go into this later, but I am going to show you again on how this looks like. Okay, so I am going to create I'm just going to create a new report. Okay. For example, the report weight is 100 over here. I'm going to click edit. You can just change the report title. That was the first part of what we did before. So social media project. So total score can be 100. It can be whatever you want. But for example, I just want to change this to maybe 50. So total score is 50, so that it tallies with the percentage of the ones that I wanted in front. It's easier for me to calculate this in my head, for example. Okay, so and then I just choose the learning outcome that I wanted for this social media project report. Maybe I'll use this number 3 one. So to add my criteria, I just click add criterion and then just put in a name. So produce a creative artwork that effectively communicates. Okay. Is the student able to blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's the evaluation criteria, and then the weightage. So maybe I just want to do 25, and then I want to add another criteria for that same outcome. So another one is the student able to blah, blah, blah. And another 25. So overall, it's already 50. The weightage is already 50. Okay. So now I already have 2 criteria for that one outcome. Okay. Okay. So that's just writing the criteria. Okay. Now, do you have any questions before I move on to the next page? Okay, we have a question on quizzes, but I'm going to answer that later on because we're doing our report first, okay? All right. Okay, if you have no question for this, I'm going to go to the next part, which is choosing your assessment type. Okay, so assessment type. If you have noticed, there's a few assessment types for your criteria. So we're going to select a suitable assessment type for each criterion that you have set. So the criteria specifies how the evaluation will be expressed. Assessment types includes numeric fields, pass-fail categories, Likert scale categories, and also bands. So let's go through some examples of each of the assessment types that we have here, which are bands, categories, numerics, and pass-fail. Okay, let's go to the first one first. Let's look at what exactly is bands and look at how it is used in a situation. Okay. Okay, so what is the band type assessment? So you can use band if you would like students to be assessed based on a few categories at once. For example, in the graphic design course, the students are assessed based on 4 categories, which are very well aligned, somewhat aligned, or not aligned. So you can see here in the screenshot, not aligned is 0 to 25, somewhat aligned, 26 to 50, well aligned, and so on. Okay, so this is how you use bands. So there is a description for each band that describes all the categories. Usually the descriptions for the lower band is for students with poor performance, while the description for high bands means that the students improve in all of the categories. So how do you set bands is that on the OpenLearning assessment report, that allows you to specify different ways to assess your students to set the report to set the criteria to be a band. You just go to your report, and under the criteria, you can select the band, the assessment types. Okay, so you just choose your option bands, and then it will come up with the settings. Then we will need to fill in the band names, band description, and its range. You can also click, once you have set it up, all the band names, band description, and the range, you can also save this as a preset. If you intend to use the same one in later criteria or reports. Okay, so we have an example here from financial management course. We have band 1, which is 0 to 1, where the description is description lacks central point. It also lacks convincing support for ideas, includes no interpretation and or analysis. So band 1 is the lowest one, and then the range is 0 to 20. Okay, so having a description helps the assessor to know which bands to use. Okay, so and you can see like band 5 here, central point of description is uniquely displayed and developed. Reasons are uniquely developed. Support of reasons are uniquely accomplished, includes analysis, interpretations, and or critical ideas throughout. So this is the rubrics that you have for bands, and this is 81 to 100. So if the assessor, when the assessor assesses this and they think that the students have achieved band, certain bands that they have here, they can just read on the description here. Okay, so it's easier to have description because this helps with the assessor in determining what are the appropriate selection. And also the learners can actually see the descriptions as well. So they know if they got like band 1, they know what they lack. Okay. All right. So, and then you can edit the settings for students' posts. There are tags with the learning outcomes and the evidence of learning. So you can edit more if, like for example, the ones that I showed you before, that outcome might have like are tagged to more activities, right? So in order for you to showcase just that activity, you can put in the evidence of learning to showcase the activities for specific showcase the learning outcome for the specific activities. Okay, so you can put that to make it more excluded. Okay, and to do this, you just click the edit button over here. A window will pop up and it will allow you to include or exclude posts submitted by the students. So if you want to include posts like that are specific to the activity, you can just add that. And then if you don't, you can just, if you want to exclude the ones, you can just put in don't include post tag with what. Okay. Oh, wow, this is big. Okay. So if you see an additional focus page, here, additional focus page, you can also add the page or course that is related to the course outcome that you have by typing the name of the page, so that in the report you will be able to have a view of the whole page. Okay, so when you put in a focus page, you can actually click on that click on, when the assessor assesses students, they can actually click on the focus page to see what activity it was, which page it was. Okay, so it will be more clear for them to see, okay, this is what this activity was relating to. Okay, so let me show you how it looks like in the report. Okay, let's see. Categories, numerics, fail. Okay, then. Okay, so we have right here. The evaluation criteria is the symbolization in the colors effective. We have the criteria weight, which is 5, and then it was set to bands. So to click to choose the assessment type, just click here and then choose bands. Okay, choose bands, and then let me show you just if I click bands, yes, and then add band. How many do you need? If you have like 3 bands, you can have 3 bands. If you have 5 bands, you can have put in 5 bands. Put in band 1, band 2, band 3, whatever name you want to put. The description, which if this is band 1 or band 5, put in the right description and then put in the range of it. Okay. So once you have that, if you put in all the name, description, and range, you can save it as presets. So right now, for bands also, you can evaluate out of 100. So if you want to put it evaluate out of 50, the range will be up until 50 lah. The maximum, like for example, if you put in range is 100, it will be red because the evaluation is only out of 50. Okay, so I'm just going to put it back here. So you can have the range over here. And then the evidence of learning, which is right now, because it's under this outcome, it is showing post tag with this outcome. So if you want to be more specific, you can just click include edit, and for include post, maybe type. I forgot what the name should come up. Okay, discuss projects. Okay, just put in discuss projects. Projects as the tag, the LOs that you want it to be tagged with, or instead of that, maybe don't include posts with discuss projects, because for this activity I might have used it for this LO. I might have used it for other activities which I've tagged it with the same outcome with another outcome. So it will showcase a few of submissions that students do. So I can just add this to don't include posts that are tagged with discuss project or anything. So you can just add that. Okay, and then click done. Okay, and then an additional focus page. If you have an additional focus page, you can just put in additional focus page. So when the assessor wants to assess, they will see the focus page over here. Okay, so that is on bands. Okay, any questions on bands before we move on to the next one, which is categories? Any advice in choosing the effect? Okay, Ariza is asking, is there any advice in choosing the effective assessment types? I think I don't have exactly an advice for this, but choose what works for you. and what's easiest for you to understand how to assess your learners. My suggestion is to have something that is that have descriptions on how you can determine where the students falls into. So try to have that. It's still up to you on how you want to use which assessment types. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, next we go to categories. Okay, categories. So that was bands. That was the first type. Next is the category type. So this type of assessment is chosen when grades are not what is looked, but more on the products that are produced by the student. Students' achievements are divided into categories. Each category has a specific criteria, usually from the lowest to the highest. For example, in this graphic design course, the students are assessed based on 4 categories, which are A for the highest achievement and F for the lowest. So you can see here, the criteria is the chosen colored picked properly? So E, A, B, C, D, E, F, something like that. If you which category does the student falls into for this criteria? Okay. Another example you can use is actually best, good, average, or poor. It doesn't have to be a category of letters. It can be a category of like this: best, good, average, or poor. So how to set categories is nearly the same as bands. Instead of choosing bands, you choose categories. And then under the assessment options for categories, so let's see. Let's see if we have categories. This is pass fail. Okay, so categories over here. When you choose categories, click add category. What's the category name and what's the percentage of it? So you can have as many as you want. Like if you're using the A, B, C, D, E, F, you can divide how many percentage. Like A is 80%, 100%. B is 80%, something like that. And if you have like the best, good, average, poor, you can also decide how many is the value for each of the category that you have set. Okay, and also once you have set it up, you can save it as a preset. Save it as a preset. All right. Okay. So that is for categories. You can, for example, for here I'm showing you an example for a course in business economics and how they use the categories, which is excellent, competent, average, low, and very low. So you have the value over here: 100%, 80%, 60%, 40%, and 0%. Missing one. But yes. So this is how it is used. It is categories. This is categorized by percentage. Okay. And then same as bands, you can edit the students' posts. They're tagged with the course outcomes under the evidence of learning by just clicking the edit button, which will prompt up the pop-up window. And also you can add the additional focus page. This part is the same throughout for every assessment type. Okay. So, any questions on categories? Okay. Okay. I have a very interesting question by Adele here. What type of assessment should I use if I want to monitor staff skills before course and skills acquired after course? I have I'm not entirely sure right now, but I'll get back to you on that. But that is a very interesting question. I'll think about it. Thank you for the question, Adele. Okay. Other question, especially if it's relating to categories. Okay, no. Okay, let's go to numerics. Okay, so numeric assessment is the most common type of assessment used by examiners. So marks and percentage are given to students based on how much the student has achieved. For example, in this graphic design course, the students are assessed and given a mark from a total of 100. So as you can see here from this screen cap, the criteria is, does the visual message fulfill the design purpose? And then the evaluation is just by dragging up to, you can either put the number or just drag it up, drag the bar, okay? But this is how numeric, so this is just putting in a number on what you think the learners have achieved. Yes, sorry. Okay, so however, this type of assessment requires the assessor's expertise to decide on the marks to be given to the students. So this is the downside of numerics. So if you're putting in numerics, make sure that you are an expert to, the assessor is an expert to assess the students relatively like this. So because there's no description, you only, based on the criteria, does the visual, based on the criteria that you have set, the assessor have to determine, okay, this student maybe is at 80, but then another student maybe is a 40. So there's no, the downside to this is that this assessor have to be an expert to, in order for you to, in order for them to evaluate using numerics. Okay. So this one, it's not as specific as categories or bands, where it has descriptions, it is more, it is more helpful in detail. I mean, yes, helpful in guiding the assessor in which one they should choose. So this is for numeric. A lot of examiners actually use this because they are an expert, but in order for you to use this, make sure that the assessors are an expert. Okay. Okay, so how to set numerics? Very simple. Nearly the same as before, bands and categories. You can set numerics by choosing the numerics type. And then you will need to fill in the box with the total mark for each criterion. So the box can be found under assessment options for numerics. In this case, since there's only one criterion be assessed and it's learning outcome, the total mark is filled in the box also 12, which is the same as the weight criteria. So because the criteria weight is 12, the numerics is only set up until 12. Okay. And the same as before, you can also put in evidence of learning and also additional focus pages. Okay, so let me show you on how numeric looks like. Okay, so this is numeric. So if you choose the assessment type, numeric, you can evaluate. You can evaluate out of 100, but because this is this weightage is only 5, I suggest to follow it to be 5 as well, so that it's easier for you to track whether this like If it's 100, it might be like a bigger gap. So if it's 5, it's just okay, 1, maybe not not good, very low, 2 better, 3 average, 4 nearly there, and 5 is perfect. So something like that. So this is your only evaluation is only 5. So when the assessor will assess the students, they can only assess it out of 5. Okay, so that's how you put in the evaluation for numbering. That's the only thing. You don't need to put in any description, no range, no name or anything, just how much it evaluates out of. Okay, that is for numerics. Any questions for numerics? Okay, no question. Okay, let's go to the last one, which is the pass fail type. Okay, so pass fail, like the name itself, it reveals the type, which is either the students pass or fail the learning activities. This type of assessment is chosen when there is only a right or wrong answer. When a student answers are correct, they will get a full mark allocated for the criteria and vice versa. So you can see an example here, right, in graphic design course. Does the design present all of the relevant information to communicate the message? So if the student doesn't present all the relevant information, they fail. If they did, they pass, and they get 2%. So that's how pass-fail works. Either pass or fail. So in order for you to set up pass-fail, this is the easiest one out of them all. Just choose pass-fail. Just choose in your criteria, assessment type, pass-fail, and then that's it. There's no options that you need, there's no settings that you need to configure for pass-fail, because it's either you pass or either you fail. No description, no categories, no range for you to set. Okay, so that is pass-fail. And then you can also put in the evidence of learning and also the additional focus page if you have any. Okay. Any questions on pass or fail? This is the simplest one, but also not the one that I recommend most, because especially if you're doing like an open-ended one, open-ended project, either the students pass or fail. If you have just one criteria and that criteria is pass-fail, I don't recommend it because it means that that the students can either be correct or be wrong, which kind of signify that it is a close-ended activity. They're either right or they're either wrong. So I don't suggest it, but you can use it if you have any other criteria, and this is one of the criteria that you have, one of the type for that criteria, for the criteria that you have for that activity. Okay, if it's just one, please no, it's sad. Even if it's just 2%, it's pass or fail. They either get 2% or not at all. Okay. Okay, so that is on pass fail. Any question on pass fail? No? Okay. All right, so a helpful tip over here before we end this page and go to the next page is if you set custom categories or bands, you can set them as presets to be reused across all assessment reports in a course. This is like I mentioned, if you have like the categories or bands that you have set up, you can set it as a preset. So this one, the one that I have right now, is a preset. Category 1, band 1. So I can choose this even when I create new report in the same course, I can still use the same preset. Okay, so if that's one helpful tip for you when you're designing your assessment report. All right, if there's no other question, let's go to the next page, which is share your report. Okay, so now we've looked into the how-tos and know-hows of the assessment settings. Now you need to walk the talk. Let's set up your own assessment report on OpenLearning. So this is two-part activity, and I don't, looking at the time, I don't plan on making you stay back and took your time on doing this. So you can do this on your own time after this the workshop, okay? But I'm going to explain what you're going to do. So the first part is your assessment plan. Okay, so it's time to create your assessment report. But before you do, you need to have a plan. So what I want you to do is download the document under here, the assessment report document under here, to help you plan out your assessment report. So what you need to have at least is one report title with their total score, one course outcome, one outcome criteria, weightage, and assessment type. And then under that, you can set the description, the evidence of learning, and the additional focus page. But all these three is optional. The ones that you need to have is the criteria, weightage, and assessment type. Okay. So once you have finalized your report design, you can share the document, this document, in the space over here. Okay. Okay. So this is the document, the report document that you need to use. Please use this one. So it's easier for me to look into your submissions. So just assessment process, this is just the assessment setting, whether you want the students to be to decide whether they are ready to be assessed on their own or not. You can just put it in here, and then the assessment design. So you can have as many as report as you want, but what I wanted is at least one. So put in the name, the total score, the course outcome. So what this document has is actually two course outcome. And then put in the criteria, the weightage, and the assessment type. The criteria, the weightage, and the assessment type. So if it's a pass-fail, there's no explanation to why it's pass-fail. But if it's like bands, you can put in the bands, the range, and the name, and also like categories, you can put it in. Okay. And then if you have description, you can put that as well. And evidence of learning, and also additional focus page. So, but this part is optional. If you have it, that's good. But if you don't, it's okay. Okay. That's it's just to help you with designing your planning out and designing your report. Okay. So what I wanted is your title, total score, course outcome, criteria, weightage, and the type. The type has to have a description, okay? If it's like bands or categories. If it's pass-fail, no need lah. Okay. All right. So that is for part one. Once you have set up your report plan on everything, just put it in your just share it in the share text widget here. Okay. Oh, Eugene already have posted his. Okay, that's good. Okay, so but okay, and then part two. So part 2 is setting up your report on OpenLearning. So now that you have your plan, I want you to create the assessment report on OpenLearning. So using the report document that you have submitted above, I want you to set up your assessment report in your own course, using your own course, okay? So make sure to include the report title and total score, the outcome criteria, weightage, and assessment type. So once you have done that, take a screen capture of your report that you have set up and share it in the space below. Just a screen cap image, okay? So if it's something like this, okay. I actually wanted, if you have the report, I want you to take a screen capture of this and some like this, okay? So take a picture of this lah. So I can see the title, the total score that you have, and the criteria and the criteria weight, and the assessment type. Those are the important ones. Okay. So and make sure that it relates back to your assessment activity. Okay. Try to make sure that you have set the same ones as the ones that you have set. Okay. Oh, Eugene also already have set up his. Very fast, Eugene. Thank you. But also, I want to make sure that you guys know that this one is the one that I will be vetting your submissions for, in order for you to get the assessor badge, assessment designer badge. Okay. So this page is the one that I will be vet you on. So keep an eye on my feedback if there is any, but also make sure that you have all the criteria that I have set, all the criteria that I needed in order for me to award you with the badge. Okay. All right. So 2 parts. Okay. One is the course document, assessment document, and then second is the image. 2 parts. All right. So you can do this after after this session has ended, or anytime. Okay. All right. And now let's go to assessing learners. Okay. Now that you have your report all done or all done, I know Eugene have created his report, so he's all done. Let's see how you can assess your learners. Okay, so once you have set up your report and everything, you want to assess your learners, right? So how you can assess your learners from the assess learners page located under assessment, the assessment tab in the sidebar. So an assessment here, assess learners. So this is where you assess your learners. Okay, on this page, you will see a table of your learners organized by the report. Each entry shows how much of that learner's report has been graded. So select one of the entries to begin the assessment. So for example, here, Elena, I've only graded her for 2 out of the criteria that I have set. Okay, and Ali Ryan and myself, I haven't graded. But for Chandru or Balasandar here, it has been graded and the report has come up the percentage as well. Why is it? Okay. Oh. Okay. All right. And then that is how you will see the student's report. So you just click on it and you will be led to the list of criteria. Okay. So this is basically the assessor's view right now. I am showing you. So for this is what the assessors will see for this outcome. There's the course there's the criteria, and that's the weight that's to be evaluated. And then when you click on the criteria, it will expand to give you details on what and how to evaluate. So this should include evidence of learning, which is represented by a tag collection of the learner's work. If no learner's work appears, check on the related activities that have it, if it has been tagged correctly. So when you click the criteria, it will show the description. Like for example, this one is numeric, and it will show the student's work as well, because this is actually Sandow, not Elena. So it will show some Sumdud, this learner's activity, because I have clicked on the learners. So it will only show their submissions, okay? So as you evaluate each criteria, the total score at the bottom of the page will be adjusted to reflect the changes. Below the total score is a comment box where the assessors can include qualitative feedback. So in the report itself, once you have done everything, it will show how much they have received, and then you can also put in your comment for that report. Okay, and once the assessor has finished evaluating the desired learner, they can release the results via the release button on the students list. Results can be released immediately or on the date in the future. There are also options for releasing each learner's report manually as well. So right now, only Balasandar is able to be only Balasandar's report is able to be released. So I can just click on that, and then he will be notified that his report is out and he can view it. Okay. So when you release a report, the report results become accessible to the learners. The learner will receive a notification that the results are available, and they can access the report results from the notification or their progress page. So either it comes up over here on the notification bell, or they can just go into their progress. Let's see. Let me their progress bar, which is over here. So right now, I am waiting for assessment because mine haven't been graded yet. Okay, but if it's graded, like for example, okay, so you can see here how Balasandar's here is everything is evaluated already. You can see the calculated total here. You can also like for example, this is 74.1.01. You can also like adjust it this to 74. So that it becomes 74.05. Okay, this is for like, because the weight is 100, but the report weight is only 50%. So the system will actually calculate this. From here is out of 50, out of 100. But for the whole report, it is 50. It sounds confusing. This is why I mentioned how when you create the report, make sure that you put in the report weight, you understand the report weight. So if you put in the report weight 50%, total score, the total score is 50, it will show this 50%. So it will be the same as the report weight. Okay, sounds confusing, but this is actually very very simple, very whichever is easiest for you. If it's easy for you to have it 100%, the total score is 100, but weight wise is 50%, up to you. If it's easier for you to understand that 50%, the report is 50% and the total score is 50%, you can do that as well. Okay, so but right now, because the report is total score is 100%, that's why it's 74% here, and then the report weight is 50%. Okay, don't worry about it. Once everything is counted, the system will count it, will calculate it as it is. Okay, so this is how it looks like. You can put in, this is how the learner's view looks like when you click on their criteria. You can either set pass or fail, and then you can see their work. And then if you have any comments, positive comments or feedback, you can put it in here as well. And let me show you how it looks like for Chandru's progress page. Okay, so see, for Chandru's page, he can view criteria. Oh, because right, maybe I should socialize us. Okay, so this is how it looks like. This is progress page. So this is because the report hasn't been released yet. So that's why he cannot view it. So let me just show you how when it's released. Let me show. Okay, I released the report. And now I'm going to go back into his progress page. Okay. So you can see here, the total right now, because the quiz hasn't been released, it shows the total for the course completion, the first report only. So there will be a total over here already. Once the quiz is also calculated, it will show both as well. Okay, and then for when he wanted to view his results, he can. And then this is what he will see. He cannot change the pass fail or anything. He can only see what he has received. Okay. So he can also see the adjustments, the calculated total, and also if you have put in a comment, he will also see your comment as well. So that is how the learners will view the report once you have released it. Okay, so there's also an article over here on how to release assessment result in batches. So if you have sorry, this is learners. If you have graded everybody or everybody, all your learners, if you have graded all your learners, but instead of releasing it one by one, like for example, this one is just not a lot of learners, but some classes are a lot of learners, right? So instead of just releasing one by one, you can do a batch option and release the results all together as well. Okay, so that is if you want to release all the release in batches. So you can take a look at the help page here. the guide here on how to do this as well. All right. So is there any question on the learner's view or anything? Learner's view or assessing the learners or anything? Okay, no. All right, okay. So if we don't, I know it's way past the time. So we're actually on the last page, but before we go, there's a few things I want to mention to you guys. As much as we're done for the technicals and everything, I want to have, I just have a few things I want to mention to you. So congratulations for completing this workshop. So what's next? There's second chance for you. You might have missed our previous workshop. You might have missed our previous workshops, 3 workshops, which have, if you have joined and submitted all the activities and have been vetted by me, your activities have been vetted and up to have followed to the activities. You might have gotten your course designer badge. So for those who might not have have followed all the workshops but have not received it yet, I might have put in my feedback on what you can improve on. So take a look at my feedback and update your submissions. Okay. So once you have done that, I will take a look at it again and I will award you with your course designer's badge. So if for those who haven't joined any of our courses, previous courses yet, you can still do so as well. We have recorded the sessions, so you can view the session in the workshop. It is on the left tab like here. You can see one of the tabs is recorded session. I think so. The name is, so you can just view the recorded session from there, and if and participate in all of the activities in the workshop. So there's 3 workshops. The first one is course structure, second is building your online course, and third is designing engaging online learning activities. So if you have gone through all of these 3 workshops and have submitted your work and everything, I will take a look at it and give my feedback. And if you're eligible for the badge, you will receive the badge as well. And for those who have received your badges, congratulations, everyone. So for this one, it doesn't have like a three part. It is just this workshop. By submitting your work in this activity, the share your report, the 2-part activity, I will, well, you need to complete the course and submit in the activity. I will take a look at it, and vet your work and see if you're eligible for the second badge. Okay. For the final one, we have one more workshop, which is on facilitation. We have one more workshop which will be on next month, that will be on facilitation. You will also receive another badge for that, which is course facilitator badge. So by then, if you have joined all 3 of our workshops, completed all our workshops and submitted all the activities, you will receive 3 badges and also awarded with the ambassador certificate. Okay, so have a look out for the final one next month, and you might be one of the ambassador that we're looking for. Okay, so aside from that, also exciting announcement, you are all invited to the micro-credential symposium that we're having next week. Yes, next week. So It's from 18 to 25 November. We have a whole lot of sessions lined up. And one of it is actually it's a Tanya OL session with Dr. Aisha. Well, that's one of it. We have a whole lot more of sessions that are very interesting for you who are interested in micro-credentials. The theme this year is driving innovations and delivering outcomes. So if you are interested to join, maybe not all of it or anything, you can just click here to register your spots. Okay, you can go into this page here and see what are the sessions lined up during the symposium. All right. Okay. So also, as always, before we end our session, I have a reflection station for you to reflect on our session today. I would like to know what you like about the session and which part was the most beneficial for you. And aside from that, Eugene also have posted. Thank you, Eugene. Aside from that, please also give us your feedback on the overall workshop as well, on my delivery, on the contents, on what your expectation is, it achieved or not. Please let us know in the feedback form here, okay? And also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us in here, or you can email us. Let me see. Email our, if you're having technical difficulties, you can email our customer success team at support@openlearning.com, or just click on this bubble here. This is our support team. Just click on it and they will help you out. If you have any questions regarding courses, contents, or wanted to share an idea or suggestion, you can email our team, mylearningservices@openlearning.com. Or if you want to connect with more course creators such as yourself to brainstorm and share your work, you can join our Facebook group, Open Learning Creator Community. You can just click over here. It will lead you to the Facebook group. We will share updates and tips in the group. So feel free to join the Facebook group and share your ideas. Okay, and aside from that, also at 3 p.m. we have a Tanya OL session, which we actually will continue on discussing about assessment as well. So feel free to come in if you still have any question regarding this workshop. You still have like a few things you want to try to do and don't understand. You can join this Tanya OL session at 3 p.m. Okay. I have also set up some guides and resources that you can take a look over here. But yes, but overall, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us anytime, anytime, or email us. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's it for me, I guess. I think I'm just going to say thank you for joining me today, and also from my team backstage. Thank you for taking all the questions. I'm saying goodbye first to those who actually need to leave now. So thank you everyone, and I hope to see you guys in the next workshop, or even in the Tanya OL at 3 p.m. later. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining me today. I am actually staying back for a while to take a look at your question. If you have any question, just feel free to let me know in the chat box. I'll take the question from now on, but for those who need to leave, you can do so now. And thank you for joining me. And also thank you from my team as well for joining us. Thanks everyone. Bye.